You found it. Your home for the best content on your favorite team, the Fighting Tigers of LSU. Do us a favor, subscribe to the channel, leave your comments below, and be sure to smash that like button. When Brian Kelly was hired at LSU, we talked about his proficiency in recruiting, developing, and getting to the NFL two positions primarily, which he had shown at a great clip during his time at Notre Dame. And they, of course, were offensive line and tight end. And time and again, Brian Kelly continues to show us and illustrate how good he and his staff are at identifying talent at those positions, recruiting them, and developing them. Of course, we just saw Mason Taylor have an incredible freshman year as LSU's really only viable tight end option. Look at what we saw as that offensive line started to find itself. You had two freshman bookend tackles with Will Campbell and Emory Jones and the development they had throughout their freshman seasons. So it's interesting to me today to see this. Tavion Galloway, who is a tight end commitment for the class of 2024. Again, he's a rising high school senior, so he's going into his senior year, but he's been committed to LSU for some time. Well, 247 Sports updated their recruiting rankings for 2024, and Galloway got a big bump. He tweeted about this. He quote tweeted the daily LSU news account that noted Galloway's gotten a bump in the 247 rankings from number 217 overall to 188. So he raised nearly 30 spots in the overall recruiting rankings for the class of 2024. And I bring this up because, listen, recruiting rankings are what they are. And sometimes the services miss, and sometimes they hit, sometimes they miss, sometimes they're right, sometimes they're wrong, whatever. But the fact that Galloway has been committed to LSU for so long now, and you're seeing him continue to increase in the recruiting rankings. Like, he committed to LSU last July. He committed July 3rd of 22. So we're coming up on him having been committed to LSU for a full year. And now you're seeing him rise the rankings as he's entering his senior season. He committed the summer between his sophomore and junior years in high school. So point being, Brian Kelly and his staff looked at that kid after his sophomore year of high school and said, yep, he's what we're looking for. This, by the way, Brian Kelly on signing day this year was asked, because they signed 3 tight ends in this class. They needed them. But this is what Brian Kelly said he's looking for when he recruits a tight end.
The tight end position sometimes gets looked at as, are you a ball catcher? Are you an inline, run blocker? I think you have to look at the ability to develop tight ends. And so I've always looked at the ability to develop them from their athletic ability, and then do they have the size to be a complete tight end? So it's easy to say, well, I can get a 6'6" tight end who's 215 pounds and he can be a ball catcher and I can split him out. I prefer not to do that. I prefer to look at somebody that can develop into a complete tight end, that can play in line, that can spread out, that can catch the football, that can do all those jobs and not be one-dimensional.
How about that? He's telling you he looks for projects. He's not looking for the guy that's the big freak body style that can catch the ball. He's looking for a certain skill set that he can develop into a tight end. And clearly he saw it in Galloway. Galloway's 6'5", 230. The height is great. The 230 isn't ideal for a tight end, but that's also a guy who's just rising into his senior season. So the newest player rankings have him as a 4-star, the number 12 tight end in the country, and the number 188 overall prospect, again, according to 247. In the composite, he's the 12th best tight end and nationally number 248. But in 247's rankings, he jumped nearly 30 spots now going into his senior year. And the thing that's so interesting about Brian Kelly's comment there is I think it's indicative when you look at the players that Brian Kelly has recruited and signed at that position. Y'all, Mason Taylor last year was a 3-star. He was the number 51 tight end in the country. Mason Taylor, the guy who caught the game-winning 2-point conversion against Alabama. Mason Taylor, who just had a really dynamic freshman season at LSU. But he's a guy that Brian Kelly and his staff looked at and said, I don't care that he's a 3-star. I don't care that he's ranked the 51st best tight end in the country. He comes in as a freshman, has 38 catches for 414 yards, scores 3 touchdowns, and becomes a really integral part of what LSU is doing. When you look at the tight ends that they've signed for this upcoming class, like Mac Markway, who's already enrolled, but Mac Markway, 4-star, the number 14 tight end in the country, number 240 nationally. He ain't the only one. Jackson McGowan. Jackson McGowan's a 3-star. 3-star, 6'4", 235, sound familiar? Number 555 nationally, the 25th best tight end. Kamorian Pimpton, 6'6", 220, sound familiar? The 9th best tight end in the country. He's a 4-star. But you're not talking about guys that were number 1 in the country. You're talking about guys who have a certain body style, certain skill set that Brian Kelly has shown you over and over and over he knows how to develop. During his time at Notre Dame, Brian Kelly put 8, well, it's going to be 9 now because you've got to include, Michael Mayer was just drafted. So Brian Kelly did recruit him and sign him, although he finished his career playing this past season for Marcus Freeman. But so Mayer becomes the 9th tight end that Brian Kelly recruited and signed during his time at Notre Dame to be drafted into the NFL. But look at this. Kyle Rudolph played defensive back and tight end in high school. He was a 5-star. He was a great player. He signed with the previous staff, but he also played some defensive back. But look at Tyler Eifert. Tyler Eifert was a 3-star. The number 21 tight end in the country, the number 583 overall player in the country. Troy Nicholas was a strong side defensive end in high school who Brian Kelly recruited as a tight end at Notre Dame. Ben Koyak was a 4-star. Durham Smythe was a 4-star who was the number 211 overall in the country. Alizé Mack was really the one big prospect they had at tight end. He was the number 1 tight end in the country. Cole Kmet was a 2-sport guy. Played baseball. Remember, we saw Cole Kmet. Played baseball for Notre Dame and also played tight end. We saw him in the bowl game against LSU. Tommy Tremble was a 3-star that was not even ranked nationally. Goes to Notre Dame, gets drafted in the 2021 draft after the COVID season. My point is, like, Brian Kelly, it's not just lip service from Brian Kelly. He's not just saying, okay, where's the 5-star tight end I'm going to recruit him? He's saying, where's the skill set, the body type that I'm looking for that I can develop into a tight end? And it's not lip service because you've seen him do it over and over and over. He's doing it right now with Mason Taylor, and you're seeing it with Tavion Galloway. Galloway's a guy that was a 3-star when they signed. He's now up to a 4-star, and he's rising in the rankings because more and more people are starting to see what Brian Kelly has seen. And you've seen it over and over and over again. Just this is the next example of a guy that of exactly what Brian Kelly is looking for. When you've got that much of a track record that speaks to your ability to know what skill set you're looking for, get them on campus, develop them, get them drafted, I mean, you don't really need much more validation than everything Brian Kelly's shown you. If he's signing you as a tight end, chances are you're going to get the league because he knows what he's looking for. Tavion Galloway looks like he's going to be next. Hey, thanks so much for watching. Please leave your comments. I love to interact, and be sure to hit the red subscribe button below.